Hey everybody, Clay Mills here. Got something really cool to share with you. Earlier today, the hit country duo Thompson Square stopped by the studios. Now, you'll know them from that past Song of the Year mega smash called Kiss Me.
Are you gonna kiss me all night?
As I got to talking with Kiefer and Shawna, I found them really interesting and I wanted to share it with you. So I got them to hop on film with me and they talk about their career. And at the end, there was a very special moment where they shared a new song that Shawna's putting out on her solo record. And they do just this stellar, it was just a stellar rendition of the tune. So stick around for that. Can't wait to share these guys with you. Cheers. Have you guys been working together?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we've been married 25 years.
Wow.
And we've been in Nashville since 96. Mm-hmm. How long is that? Man,
28 years, 29 years?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Both of those are huge accomplishments.
It is, right? And to still be married.
Yes, especially in this business, it's just so hard on you.
So how did you meet and how did you form the duo?
Yeah, so we both moved to Nashville with, doing independent things. I wanted to be an artist. Kiefer wanted to be an artist. And we met at this contest over off of Music Valley Drive at this place called the Nashville Nightlife.
Yeah.
And it was this really cool thing. Like weekly, you could go there, and it was our chance at the time to be able to sing with a live band. And it was like karaoke almost, but with a live band. You go up there and just tell them what song you want to sing, and you sing. And the audience was the judge. They'd vote on a napkin or whatever it was, and you'd win $50 or something. And but we met at that, and literally have been together ever since that night.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, yeah. He asked me to play a game of pool, and
I walked in my cowboy hat, fresh out off the farm, and big belt buckle, Did you have a deal at Warner Brothers at that point?
I had a development deal when I moved to Nashville, or actually before I moved to Nashville. I was 18, and I started coming to Nashville when I was about 15. And in between that time, I had a development deal at Warner Brothers, and that didn't pan out. Went through that, and then we met, and Kiefer was playing down on Broadway. He played at Legends Corner and Roberts and The Wheel and Second Fiddle and all the places before Broadway was what it is now.
Yeah, before you could make money. Wow. I mean, we were doing 4-hour shifts for $20.
Wow.
I'd scratch out $30,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And now they're doing 6 figures down there.
It's crazy.
Nuts. You can't get guys to go on the road anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really
They'd
hard.
rather play 20 hours a week, downtown than whatever.
But Kiefer he got a gig down there, which is kind of a funny story how he got the gig. But I'd go in and sit in with him. And I went down there one Sunday, I think it was, and Don Goodman was down there. Kiefer had been writing with Don and had become really good friends with him. And
he was my first big write when I got to town.
I got up to sing, and after the set was over, Don was like, "Man, that was so good. Kiefer, you were amazing. Shawna, you're amazing. But man, when y'all sing together, there's something like special. Yeah. Your harmonies, it's almost like a brother and sister type harmony. It's
Turns out we are brothers and sisters.
Stop. But
this is a comedy coming.
Yes.
Yeah, roll tide.
But after that day, it was kind of one of those things. It was like forest for the trees kind of thing. We didn't really see it or get it, but hearing it come from Don, from somebody who's been in the business for a while and you trust and respect, we're like, well, maybe there's something to this.
Well, and that was the first one, and then Steve Missamore, who plays drums for Dirks, is an old friend of ours, and he was playing down there at Legends, and me and Shawna got up and sang, and we got done singing. I think we sang Golden Rings or something like that. Got off stage, walked down the street. Well, Steve jumps out from behind the kid, runs down the street, stops us, and goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on?" She's like, I want to work with you guys, So we went in and cut some sides with Steve, and so that was 2 people that were just like, "You guys got to do this together,"
Right.
We were like, "We want to be independent or a solo artist," And I went out on my first big tour as a guitar player on the George Strait tour. With an artist named Sarah Johns, and I was gone 3 months, and I loved it, but I hated it when I called home and was like, "Man, we played for 20,000 people tonight. It was insane. These people, And she was just like, "That's great, that's great, good for you." Proud of you and happy for you.
I was very happy for you.
Yeah.
I never was jealous or anything
Well,
like
you weren't
that.
jealous, but you were upset
It was-
because it's what you wanted to do, you know. And at
It was tough on us as a married couple.
well, I was cheating all the time, you know,
Oh my
and it just she was cheating, and we finally just said, "This is enough. Enough's enough."
Living the country song life.
Oh, I was
Yes.
trying, man. Yeah, I was trying. A lot of guys. After that, that was a kind of pivotal moment when we were like, well, we're more important than the music. We're more important than the business. And as long as we agree on that, then let's take that and run with it. And so that's actually when stuff really started kind of happening for us.
Mhm.
And, you know, we started making music together. And because she had that thing going on. I was working with a guy named Nelson Larkin at the time. And he kind of pulled me out of Oklahoma because we were going to get a record deal and all that stuff. And I worked with some great guys and cut some great songs. And that didn't ever work out either, which, you know, you think, well, one guy gives you a phone call like, this is done, you know, and it's not like that. I was working as a GM for Kinko's. I got her first job at a crappy jewelry store. We sold boots. That was the first job we had.
So many
Overnight
different,
success.
so many random jobs.
Yeah, I mean, just too many to list, you know. But at the time, right before we got signed as Thompson Square, I was bartending at a bar called the Crossroads, which is now AJ.
No, the wheel.
The Wheel. It's now called AJ's. I was bartending there, and I was making like $300-400 a night, you know. And I was like, man, this is killer money. This is more money than I've ever made in my life. And we put a showcase together at 3rd and Lindsley.
We literally went through like the CMA directory, and we mailed out these little postcards
Oh, we did the whole thing.
to everybody. I mean, everybody. And that was kind of our last. We were like, this is it. We're doing one more showcase. If nobody's interested, we're going back to Alabama.
And nobody showed up except for one. And you know, we'd been through this process so much. You know, all the execs, they want their name at the door. They don't want to pay. You know, I'm important. You know, and we didn't have anybody. We didn't put anybody's name on the list. Like, if they're going to come to see us, they're going to say no anyway. So at least we'll get $20 out of it. You know, and so Broken Bow came. They paid their $20. They came in.
We had a few others there.
Yeah, we
that
had a
were-
few others.
Yeah,
Look, we won't talk about that.
the important people.
But yeah, so we did the show, and they really loved it and asked us to come down to the label and do a version acoustically. And they loved it. They said, can you do one more show? And so we had a showcase at 12th and Porter. And we were nobody. No one knew who we were. And for some reason, by the grace of God, we had a line out the door and around the block. And we put this killer band together. We had our crap together, and we had the lights and the smoke and the whole thing, man. And yeah, we got signed from that show, you know. And then life just took off 1,000 miles an hour, you know. And
So who was producing your first project?
well, that's a funny story too, because Jason Aldean's band, they were a production team, as you know, and I think they call themselves the Three Kings. Tully was one of the guys. He's a bass player for Aldean.
Yeah.
So I've known Tully used to play with me down on Broadway, you know, and they heard our music and was like, "Hey, this act is called Thompson Square. We think they're great," and then it was separate. And then we did the showcase, and then we're like, "Hey, we're all going to meet the label." So Thompson Square came to the label and walked in and was like, "It's you," you know.
Because we hadn't seen Tully in a
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a
little
while.
bit,
So, you know, Aldean kind of blew up a little bit, you know, so he was on the road a lot, and I haven't seen him in a few years. It was very serendipitous, you know, and so we hit it off, and we made 2 great records together, you know.
Yeah.
It was a fun process doing that with your friends.
What was the first hit that you guys had that you go, okay, I think we're
Kiss
going
Me.
to Kiss Me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we our first single that the label wanted to release was a song called Let's Fight. And I can't remember how many weeks we were out on radio tour pushing it. It wasn't very long. It was like four to 6 weeks or something.
It's a song I wrote with Kit Moore, and we let it out, and our backlash was, this is promoting domestic violence.
Oh. Well, did the label think, since you guys were together, that it would be an interesting story to have the fight part of it?
Well,
or-
the idea of the song is we don't fight.
Oh, okay.
So let's
fight so we can make
up.
up.
Right, yeah. Fight and make
That
up.
was the
And,
idea.
you know, people hear
of the
let's
song.
fight and like, oh my gosh, you're killing her. You know, I'm like, she's beating me. You know? And so I remember we were at the MGM in Vegas. One of the most wonderful moments probably of our career. We were at the MGM and invited all these people, radio stations to the suite, and we had a balcony or stage out on the balcony, and Vegas is out here, and it was beautiful, and nobody was there. It's like 10 minutes to the show, and there is no one there. And then in 10 minutes, man, you couldn't put another elbow in that room.
Wow.
I mean, it was packed. And we did Let's Fight. We're like, yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, it's a hit. And then we did Kiss Me or Not. I'm like, oh, that song sucks. That's the one.
Wow.
So we flipped.
In the middle of a radio, radio tour for another single, we flipped.
And they actually
Kiss Me or
did
Not.
it. I mean, a lot of times they won't switch singles, but they switched singles, and then it was Song of the Year.
But that song, when it came out, I don't know what it was, but there's just certain songs you hear them, and everyone instantly knows that's special.
Right.
It's a magic that you can't explain, and that song had that. Like everyone was talking about it.
It's
such
that
a
David Lee
unicorn.
Murphy, Jim Collins pixie dust.
It's weird,
They have it. I don't know.
I've written a lot.
Yeah, but someone else could have recorded it, and it
wouldn't have done it.
It might not have had that pixie dust.
Right.
It was the perfect song at the perfect time with the perfect artist. And that's all this stuff had.
Because the song was like
3 years old.
I thought it was older than that.
And Tina Crawford actually found it and played it for us. We're like, whoo, that sounds like a big one. And then the whole label was like, yeah, that's a big one. And so we're like, okay, let's cut the big one. And so we did, and it exceeded every expectation we ever could have. We never really thought that anything would happen for us.
We literally
I'll
just
be
held
honest
on
with
for
you.
dear life. Like
We were like, you moved to Nashville, and your defense mechanism is I'm probably not going to make it because most people don't. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good shot. That's what we all say to ourselves.
And besides, you wanted to be a comedian.
I didn't then. It wasn't funny then.
What would you say the highest of the high, just in the music business, not personal life, but what do you think was that high point that you'll always remember and say, this is as good as it gets?
I think mine would be the Opry. Like debuting on the Opry still.
Oh, yeah.
Like even though Kiss Me or Not was not a hit yet when we debuted, it was still kind of going up the charts. That, to me, that was the reason why I moved to Nashville, was to be able to play the Grand Ole Opry, because it was like beat into me as a kid,
Oh, yeah.
That's the place. That's
Mother Church.
That's it.
Yes, that's the goal.
Well, and
And-
I grew up at the Opry because my dad sold insurance for National Life Insurance Company, which started WSM, which stands for We Shield Millions, which was a vessel to sell life insurance. It didn't care about the music, So I grew up with that, as well in a different way, because Dad was like, Opry. Everything was Opry. Everything was rhyming, and we'd come to Nashville and their home office was here. So we'd come to the old Opryland theme park, when I was a kid, and when I called them to say that we were playing the Opry, it was just phone silence, man. And to them, that was it.
Yeah.
I done did it, and so we got them all in the front row, and
Wow.
that was the only time. I'm a talker. That was the only time I've been completely mute on stage. Literally, it was just like, hello, thank you. That was it. I think that's about all I said.
It's such a real thing. I think probably my second moment is when we played at is it Nissan Stadium? Is that still what it is? The Titan Stadium?
Yeah, sure.
When we I don't know, that it
It changes.
changes so much, the sponsorship. When we played for CMA Fest, and we played Are You Gonna Kiss Me or Not acoustically for 60,000 people.
Wow.
And you couldn't even hear the monitors.
We couldn't even hear really what we were doing because everybody was singing it back so loud. That moment was pretty unforgettable.
We could talk about a lot of moments, man. That was one that was crazy. And we're
So
just
that's almost like when they're singing along, that's almost like it's a cappella at that point, because
I
the acoustics,
No.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
can't hear nothing, But the only other two that I could think of that come to mind is I always wanted to hear my name after And the Winner Is, and we were told by our label that we would never win anything. because we're a small label. We don't have the votes, and it's all voted and traded and horse traded stuff, and don't have the votes. And then we won our first ACM, and
Which was a little
it was
weird.
it was a little bittersweet because it was weird because the duo category they didn't. We were on the side stage outside at another venue, and they presented it to us out there. Which, I mean, we were both bawling like babies, but it pissed Reba off, and us, and it was just like. But we wanted to be with everybody. Every artist wants to be with everybody,
Right.
And I guess Reba was a little bit upset about it because she knows it's our first time, man. I mean, we've worked our whole life for this, and then you don't even put us on the show, So she sent me a lovely email and letter with a bottle of Silver Oak,
crazy gift basket,
and some Davidoff cigars, and she just couldn't, unprompted, just couldn't have been nicer. And then when the second time we won it, we got to hear, and the winner is, and we got to go up on stage with it like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that was, those are the gifts, man, that you get that, almost 100% of the population will never experience what that feels like. Yeah. And as an artist, when you get that, I mean, we have all of our awards laid out on our piano, not for vanity, but for remembering and going, because as soon as that's over with, I go back into depressor mode. Like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not laughing because
it's funny, but I do.
I'm laughing mostly because I can relate to it.
Well, when we won the first or second one, I can't remember. We were at the MGM bar, like everybody's hanging out, and I'm just over in the corner smoking my cigars and drinking my whiskey, and everyone's like, "What's wrong with him?" It's like, "Well, you won," and that's just how I've kind of always been. Goals are very hard for me to attain,
right?
For some reason, I want them and I go after them, but the closer you get to them, the more nervous I get.
I heard a guy talking the other day, and it's kind of like a natural progression. You're striving and striving, and when you reach a goal, there is a letdown period. I mean, it's perfectly normal.
Right.
And I think nobody tells us that.
Mm-mm.
So when we're winning the awards, and then all of a sudden, it's over, no one tells you that there's going to be that down period. I think they need to educate us better.
Right.
Well,
but it's perfectly normal, not just for musicians and actors and
Olympians,
people, but just anyone in your day-to-day life. If you're striving for a new job promotion or whatever, then once you attain it, there's a reset. Mm-hmm. And it's a health thing. Like, you have to reset because you've had your adrenaline going for so long,
right?
And it's a healthy thing.
The endorphins wear off, and it's like, oh, what do I do now? While you're in the seat, and everyone else is driving, and you're just kind of looking around, and you're going from show to show. And I think the first year we were out, we did 270 shows, and the second year was about the same, and so we were home like just a handful of days, and you don't even know what to do or where you're at, and you don't know who's taking care of your money, and you don't have no idea how much money you're making or not making, or you can't keep up with it. And then you find out later that so-and-so was taking this, and so-and-so was taking this, and so-and-so. So this town, it gives you everything. It can give you, it has given us everything we ever dreamed of, but it always takes more.
Yeah.
It always takes more. And if it wasn't for the tenacity, I think, of artists to stick in the game and try to get something else, or just realize that this is normal. We all level out. Nobody stays on top forever.
Right.
We all level out, and then you're just in the pool with everybody else.
Yeah.
And
if you're fortunate, sometimes people can reinvent their careers, have a second act, like my buddy Darius Rucker in Hootie and the Blowfish. Mm-hmm. He had a second career as a country artist after Hootie, and those are very, very few and far between.
Very rare.
And I think that kind of brings us to what we're doing now. We're just trying to be happy again and like exploring, and like, Kiefer doing his comedy and me doing a honky tonk record. I mean,
so I did not know this was. I heard one song I believe you wrote with Leslie Satcher. Mm-hmm. Did you write it with her?
Yeah.
So, we wrote several songs on the record with Leslie. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
So I didn't realize the whole album was in that direction, but that you sounded phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I grew up on. My dad was a musician and always loved super country stuff. And I feel like I'm an old soul. I was born way, way too late. But yeah, Leslie, you probably heard Small Town Rick.
I did hear that.
Yeah, that's the current release. Kiefer wrote that with Leslie, and kind of a funny story behind that. When I moved to Nashville in 1996, I wanted to write with Leslie, but I was just Shawna McElwain from Podunk, Alabama, and getting to write with her was nearly impossible at the time. And but anyway, flash forward to making this record and us having some success. And Kiefer had written with Leslie years ago.
I've written a few things with her.
And then when we started talking about making a super traditional country record, I was like, man, we got to have Leslie on here. Like, she's got to be a part of this because that's who she is and her whole vibe. And so Kiefer called her up, and she came over, and I was super excited to get to write with her. But the night before, we had some friends from Alabama in town celebrating his 50th birthday, big birthday bash.
And we turned it up a little bit too much.
we cranked it up a little bit too much, and I was so hungover, I couldn't even get out of bed, and I was so embarrassed. And Kiefer was like, well, I'm not canceling with Leslie Satcher. So they went ahead and wrote and praised Jesus. They did, because this song, A Small Town Wreck, it's very ironic because that's what the song is about. It's about an alcoholic who's, going to church trying to seek help from God, from this,
and she has to
this
get
alcohol
drunk to do
addiction.
it. That's bad when you got to get drunk to go to church.
Yeah. But, yeah, I wasn't a part of that one, but if I would have been in the room, it probably wouldn't have been the same song.
So how do you come up with an idea of someone who has to get drunk to go to church?
That was Leslie on the drive.
Yeah, Leslie, she's a special soul, and I love her so much, and I she's so incredibly gifted, and this isn't a promo for Leslie Satcher, but it should be. But she came in and she was like, I was praying this morning, that the Lord would give me a good idea for this, and I had this idea called Small Town Wreck, and then we just kept bouncing it back and forth, and it's like, what does that mean? It's like, I grew up Southern Baptist, and I was kind of the black sheep of the family and the black sheep of the church, and I was, this is the Satan child, he's drinking on Saturday night, and all that stuff. And so that's kind of where it came from. Is this is an alcoholic from a female standpoint that's lost everything, lost her husband,
Right.
lost everything, and knows that she needs to seek God's help to get over this hump, but can't do it. It's too hard, and sometimes, I grew up, like I said, I grew up Southern Baptist, so the hypocrisy in churches is rampant many times. I've not that I'm disagreeing with anything, but people judge, man. It's the one thing that God tells you not to do is not judge others unless you be judged, and that's what a lot of people do, especially the older people. The people who have been there, the start of the church or whatever else, or they're the deacons, or it's the people who have the control,
So the place that you want to turn to for forgiveness is judging you.
It's the worst judgment zone in the world. It's worse than Planet Fitness, But yeah, so that's what it was, and then, this girl just has to get drunk to even go through the door.
One of my favorite lines is, it took 2 shots of courage to darken your door. To walk down the aisle, Lord, it might take one more. I'm just like...
It's a good one.
It gives me chill bumps. Yeah.
But
my favorite line is, I'm about as backslid as a backslider gets.
Yes.
That would kill me, man. I was like, ooh, yeah.
I'm about as backslid as a backslider gets.
yeah, it's just so honest. You know what I mean?
And that was that stuff where I'm like, I said that, and I jumped up, we were dancing around. We don't get that with the comedy stuff, But yeah, it's everything about that song. It was she's such a craftsman when it comes to lyrics and arrangements and stuff. And it was I think we wrote 4 songs on this record with her,
and learned so much from her too. It's like I remember the first time that I was in with the Riot with y'all, and she was just like, let's just start writing. Don't think about it. Let's just write something down. And, a lot of times you go into a ride and you're sitting there and you're staring at each other and nothing ever happens. But at some point you got to write a line. Just start with one line. let's go.
Well,
That's what I love about her.
And there's a song on the record, which I think is the best song on the record, called Bama Clay. And it features Ricky Skaggs and Vince Gill. So Shawna had this idea, Bama Clay, and she's like, "When you bury me in that Bama Clay."
I had the whole chorus on
she
that
had
one.
the chorus written, so Leslie came in, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." So we were writing that, and then someone said the line "Lean on Neon," and I can't remember who's credited with that, but I'm sure it was me. And then we're like, "Oh, that's a song, Lean on Neon. That's a whole other song."
Yeah.
So then we're like, "I used to lean on neon." And so we wrote that song, and then we went back to Bama Clay, finished that.
Yes.
And those two of the songs that are on the record. I love it when it happens like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be fun. It should be easy. Sometimes it's not easy, but man, when they fall out like that, that's just a gift, man.
It definitely was one of the easiest projects we've ever worked on by far.
We had a vision, we had an idea and a vision, and then the knowledge to see that vision through. And the knowledge was our background and historical reverence for country music.
Right.
We weren't making it up.
You were doing it for the love of it, and you're not going every second you're doing it. You're not in this box of, well, the label wants us to do this kind of thing, and there's not that struggle going on.
It was magical not having that box to be put in.
And that's why
it was like we can write whatever we want to write. We can say whatever we want to say.
Yeah.
However we want to say it. Don't have to worry if it's going to work at radio. Let's just have fun and enjoy creating.
I just feel like that's where the best music, the best artists come from, that space. Historically speaking, it's been that way since music started.
Yeah.
It wasn't until it got commercialized that everyone's got to be in this peg, Oh, you got a mustache? Hey, we need a mustache artist. And we just signing these guys left and right, It's so
because
surgical now.
The people that loved music no longer ran the labels.
Right.
But you're right. Whenever someone comes along that is different, that doesn't fit in the box, they force the box to move over to where they are, and that's the best music.
And I feel like those, with that being terrestrial radio friendly, now there is a potential to become everything you wanted to become.
Right.
Through Spotify and Pandora and iTunes and all that stuff, Or when we got started, if it wasn't for a label, you're stuck on Broadway playing gigs for $20 for 4 hours.
Right.
So that is the free enterprise system of music is kind of back in play, even though they're not very nice to us on the pay scale. But.
Well, the thing is, when you take off on Spotify, what happens? The big labels throw money at you.
Yeah, that's when they want you.
Yeah.
I watched a video the other day. Some kid, he was on the phone, on speakerphone with a label, and they said, "Hey man, send it to the team. Everybody loves it, music, but we don't sign anybody unless they have at least 20,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram." So what used to be
right,
someone taking a chance.
A small metric is now the only metric.
But I will say,
Give me some hope, man. Give me some hope, brother.
I know someone that had no real numbers. A song blew up on TikTok, and now they have a whole career.
Yeah.
And it happened overnight. The labels jumped on it. So I still think a lot of times people underestimate the power of a song.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This artist had a whole career developed because it was a great song that they released on their own. And that it just always seems like a great song can go anywhere overnight in the world. That we don't know. We can't see it. We don't know how it happens. It just opens doors. I mean, Kiss Me was one of those songs that just, the moment people heard it, it took off.
Yeah.
It was a very strange, we call it our unicorn. I remember Christmas came after it was released, and the label told us, now your sales are looking really awesome, but don't get too excited because everybody, at the time, people were getting iTunes cards for Christmas for downloads. And they were like, y'all don't get too excited, though. It's Christmas. And then after Christmas, it just...
It was like 80,000 a week, 100,000
We're
a
like,
week.
what's happening?
And it's like, what are these? What is this,
And that's more than just a label. You know what I mean? Like people go, well, labels throw all this money and they force it on the listeners. No. I mean, that kind of magic doesn't happen unless people...
Yeah, for people to buy it.
Well, and that was before radio was I mean, it wasn't a hit yet.
wasn't a
Like
hit.
it was just kind of
But it was
moving.
bad.
That's awesome.
It got to a point where you just couldn't stop the train. I mean, it was just blowing everybody away. And you thank God for those. And sometimes you get one of those in a career. We'll always be known for that song, no matter what happens from this point on.
Yeah.
Different artists are known for that one thing. It doesn't mean you can't have a career. And if you don't have a label deal, it doesn't mean your career is over. It used to, sort of, unless you want to go out and play, until it just kind of fell off to the point.
Yeah.
But I mean, she and I have found a place right now where we're just creating, and all kinds of different stuff. But I think Shawna's record I think it's the best female. Well, it might be the best country music record I've heard in 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down. I mean, I don't, and I say that like she's not here, but I don't. I'm not a big. I don't listen to a lot of female acts. I listen to Etta James. I listen to Bonnie Raitt. I listen to certain females, and even in country. But I don't listen to them on repeat. And I've listened to this record till I'm blue in the face. And it's.
Well, you had to because you produced it.
Well, I had to, but
you do. You go down and you listen to it.
When you're done with it, I haven't listened to Kiss Me or Not. I haven't listened to any of my music in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do it. I mean, why would you do that? But with this record, it's so special, and it came at a time where we had gotten asked out of our record deal, and we became independent. I produced a record on us called Masterpiece, which we fully funded and did everything on our own. That actually did fairly well for an independent deal. Got us another record deal, and then under that record deal, one of the great guys there, Gator Michaels, huge supporter of both me and Shawna. He likes Shawna a little bit more. Wonderful human and one of my best friends. And we got talking about this solo project on Shawna, so we did that under that label. Then that label kind of left town during COVID. So essentially, in a way, I bought it all back.
Right.
And so then once we had it, okay, I was like, what are we going to do with it now? So we've had this record for 4 years.
Oh, man.
And
It's been so hard.
We had a major label want it, but they wanted to put it into like a normal 360 thing with 16%. And I'm like, guys, this is not that kind of not that kind of music. I mean, could it be on the radio? Yeah, but at the time, even 4 years ago, it wasn't cool to be country.
Right.
And so we held on to it.
Now, thank goodness, there's some super traditional people coming around.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing,
So, can I get you guys to play a song?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
I want to hear one of yours.
Let's
Wanna play
do
one of
it.
yours?
Yeah. Daddy raised me right from the start. So I got Jesus in my heart. I try living right, but Lord, it's hard. 'Cause I like to smoke every now and then. Sip the high life with all my friends. And then the neon lights draw me in. And I get straight to the point. Set 'em up and pass 'em round. Crank the hank and burn this joint. All the way down, 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 down,
lead and lid don't need no match. Gonna turn this place to ash, we're gonna burn it down. Yeah, we're gonna burn it down. Let's get straight to the point. Set 'em up and pass 'em round. Crank the hank and burn this joint all the way down, 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 down. All the way down.